Most people think they just hate conflict or they're naturally helpful. But if saying no feels dangerous, if disappointing someone makes your chest tighten, if you apologize even when you're not wrong, that didn't start in adulthood. It started in a house where your comfort depended on someone else's mood. Let's get one thing straight. People-pleasing is not kindness. Kindness is a choice. People-pleasing is a reflex. It shows up in simple ways. You agree even when you disagree. You hate making decisions because you worry someone won't like them. You scan people's faces to see if they're upset. You explain yourself too much. You feel responsible for other people's feelings. On the outside, you seem flexible and easygoing. Inside, you're exhausted from trying to manage every possible reaction. You didn't learn this because you were weak. You learned it because you were smart enough to adapt. When you're a kid, you don't think, my emotional needs aren't being met. You think, if I behave perfectly, everything will stay calm. So you trade your authenticity for approval. You become the child who doesn't complain. The helpful one, the easy one. That role follows you into adulthood like a script you didn't write. Here's the truth most people don't want to face. Your parents didn't have to be abusive to teach you people-pleasing. They just had to make love feel conditional. Sometimes it looks obvious. A parent who explodes when you make mistakes. A parent who shames you for having emotions. A parent who is only warm when you achieve something. Other times it's subtle. A parent who depends on you for emotional support. A parent who falls apart unless you stay calm. A parent who avoids conflict, so you learn to swallow everything. You didn't become a people pleaser because you cared too much. You became one because you learned it wasn't safe to need anything. Kids don't ask, is this fair? Kids ask, what do I need to do to stay connected? Connection is survival, so you adjust, you quiet down, you grow up fast. You erase the parts of yourself that feel inconvenient. As an adult, you think you're being thoughtful. What you're really doing is staying small because your nervous system is still living in your childhood home. People-pleasing is not about manners. It's about fear. Fear of rejection, anger, disapproval, being seen as difficult, losing the relationship. And here's the kicker. You don't even know what you actually want anymore because you've spent your whole life reading other people instead of yourself. People ask you, what do you want? And your mind goes blank. It's not that you have no preferences. It's that you learned preferences create problems. So you became the person who lets others choose the restaurant, says, whatever works for you, takes on extra work without being asked, feels guilty resting, thinks setting boundaries is being selfish. You think keeping everyone happy will finally make you feel safe. But it never works, because people-pleasing doesn't create real connection. It creates dependency, resentment, and relationships where you disappear. Here's the uncomfortable reality. People-pleasing is not love. It's self-abandonment dressed up as generosity. And you didn't invent it, you inherited it. People don't become people-pleasers because they're naturally cooperative. They become people-pleasers because their childhood trained them to earn safety instead of expect it. There are a few parenting patterns that shape this. Some are loud, some are quiet. All of them teach the same lesson. Your needs are a problem. Let's break them down. 1. The explosive household. In this environment, everything depends on one person's mood. You never knew what would set them off, so you learned to stay on alert. Kids in explosive homes become experts at reading facial expressions, predicting tone changes, avoiding mistakes, fixing tension before it starts. You weren't trying to be agreeable. You were trying to avoid punishment, yelling, or emotional withdrawal. Your nervous system still acts like conflict equals danger. So as an adult, you avoid it at all costs. You don't say no. You don't disagree. You smile when you're uncomfortable. Not because you want harmony, but because your body thinks survival depends on it. 2. Emotionally unavailable parents. These parents weren't necessarily angry. They were absent. You could be hurting, and nothing happened. A child who can't get attention by expressing needs learns to shrink themselves. You start thinking, my feelings are too much. Nobody cares what I need. Staying quiet keeps the peace. So instead of reaching out, you become self-sufficient. Not because you're independent, but because asking for support never worked. As an adult, you don't ask for help. You think needing someone makes you weak. You give everything and receive almost nothing because it feels normal. 3. Conditional approval. These parents only showed warmth when you performed. It could have been grades, sports behavior, appearance, being well-behaved in public. You learned love had requirements. The formula was simple. Do well. Accepted. Disappoint. Tension or coldness. So now you chase approval like oxygen. You're not motivated by confidence. You're driven by fear. What happens if someone stops liking me? People think you're hardworking. Deep down, it's not ambition. It's panic. 4. Parentification. This is when the child becomes the caretaker. Maybe one parent was depressed, overwhelmed, sick, addicted, emotionally unstable. You became the helper, the therapist, the peacekeeper. You were praised for being mature, but it wasn't maturity. It was survival. As an adult, you feel responsible for everyone's emotions. If someone is upset, you jump in like it's your job. You're exhausted, but you don't know how to stop because you were trained to carry what wasn't yours. 5. Conflict avoidant homes. In some families, no one yelled, but no one talked about anything real. If feelings caused discomfort, they got buried. If someone was hurt, everyone pretended it was fine. You learned silence is safer than honesty. So now, you apologize instead of speak up. You tolerate things that bother you. You avoid confrontation even when you're right. You think boundaries ruin relationships. You weren't allowed to express, so you became the person who suppresses. 6. The good child role. Some parents didn't demand perfection. They simply rewarded compliance. You got praised for being easy, not complaining, playing alone, handling your own problems, never causing stress. You didn't learn who you are. You learned who you're supposed to be. The message was subtle but powerful. Don't take up space. As an adult, you feel guilty, asking for clarification, needing comfort, taking time off, having preferences, saying no. You think speaking up is conflict. You think existing with needs is inconvenient. The hidden training behind it. All kids don't need lectures to learn patterns. They learn from the system they live in. Every one of these environments sends the same unspoken messages. Your emotions are a burden. Approval is earned, not given. Keeping others calm is your responsibility. Love can disappear if you make mistakes. Safety depends on staying agreeable. These messages don't stay in childhood. They become your operating system. So when someone asks, why can't you just say no? They have no idea you were conditioned to believe that disagreeing risks connection. People-pleasing isn't a habit you picked up. It's a role you were trained to play. And here's what makes it stronger. As a kid, the strategy worked. It kept you out of trouble, emotionally protected, needed, praised, connected. Your brain learned, this keeps me safe, so it never stopped. Now you're an adult with a child's survival strategy running your life. You don't notice it because it feels familiar. And the nervous system confuses familiar with safe. That's why you keep choosing. Partners who take more than they give. Friends who lean on you, but never show up. Workplaces where you overfunction. Situations where your needs disappear. It's not a coincidence. It's conditioning. People think people-pleasing is a behavior problem. It's not. It's a belief system. You didn't choose. You didn't grow up hearing these messages directly. You learned them from tone, reactions, silence, and what happened when you needed something. Here are the core beliefs that get wired in. 1. My needs don't matter. As a kid, if your needs were ignored, minimized, or treated as inconvenient, you learned to cancel them. You stop asking. You stop expecting. You stop trusting that your feelings count. As an adult, this becomes automatic. You downplay pain. You say it's fine when it's not. You put yourself last without thinking. You don't choose self-neglect. You default to it. 2. If I disappoint someone, something bad will happen. This belief comes from parents who reacted poorly when you messed up. Maybe they gave the silent treatment, withdrew affection, got cold or explosive, made you feel guilty. Your brain linked disappointment with danger. Now you feel intense pressure to be liked, never upset anyone, fix everything immediately. Your nervous system reacts like a fire alarm to normal conflict. 3. Love has to be earned. If affection only came when you behaved, achieved, or stayed pleasant, you didn't experience love as consistent. You learned approval, walks, connection, mistakes, born distance. So now you over-prepare, over-apologize, over-give, overthink every interaction. You're not trying to impress people. You're trying not to lose them. 4. Saying no is selfish. In some homes, boundaries were treated as disrespect. If you tried to say no, ask for space, express a preference, you were labeled rude, dramatic, ungrateful, or difficult. So now, you feel guilty setting limits. You worry people will think you're mean. You avoid saying no until you burn out. You don't lack boundaries. You were punished for having them. 5. Other people's feelings are my responsibility. This belief forms when a child has to manage an adult's emotions. You learned to calm them down, keep the peace, fix what wasn't yours. Now you jump in to soothe everyone, take blame that isn't yours. Panic when someone is upset. Confuse caretaking with love. You think your worth depends on keeping people comfortable. 6. Staying small keeps me safe. If being visible led to criticism or pressure, shrinking became protection. So you learned to stay quiet, avoid attention, not take up space, keep opinions to yourself. As an adult, you undervalue your skills, say it's nothing when you work hard, let others lead even when you know better. You're not humble. You're scared of being targeted. Why these beliefs stick? These beliefs don't stay because they make sense. They stay because they were learned during survival. The brain holds on to anything that once kept you safe. Even if your life is different now, your nervous system is living in the past. That's why a simple "can we talk" feels threatening. A neutral text feels like rejection. A boundary makes you feel guilty. Rest feels undeserved. Being liked feels essential. Your body reacts first. Your logic comes second. You're not dramatic. You're conditioned. The real cost of these beliefs. People think people-pleasing makes relationships smooth. It actually destroys them slowly. It leads to resentment, emotional imbalance, one-sided friendships, burnout, losing your identity. You can't form healthy connections while abandoning yourself. People don't fall in love with you. They fall in love with the version of you that never says no. That's not connection. That's performance. And the longer you play that role, the more invisible you become to yourself. You don't outgrow people-pleasing just because you move out. The patterns follow you into every part of your life. Different setting, same script. Here are the most common ways it shows up. 1. You feel guilty for having needs. It doesn't matter how small the request is. Asking feels like taking something from someone. So you apologize before speaking. Only if you're not busy. Minimize your needs. Wait until you're desperate before asking. You act like your existence requires permission. 2. You say yes before thinking. Your mouth answers faster than your brain. You agree automatically because delaying feels unsafe. Later you think, why did I commit to that? I don't have the energy, I should have said no. But by then, you're trapped by your own survival reflex. 3. You avoid conflict even when it hurts you. You would rather tolerate discomfort than risk someone being upset. So you stay silent when something bothers you. Pretend you're not hurt. Let problems pile up until they explode. Accept behavior you would never repeat. Avoiding conflict becomes more painful than the conflict itself. 4. You over-explain everything. A simple no feels rude, so you turn it into a 5-minute justification. You explain because you're not trying to communicate. You're trying to protect yourself from disapproval. 5. You apologize for things that aren't your fault. You say sorry when someone bumps into you, plans change, someone else is upset. You take up space. Sorry becomes your identity, not a statement. 6. You don't know what you actually want. You spent so long scanning other people that you lost connection to yourself. So when someone asks, "What do you want?" your mind freezes. It's not indecision, it's unfamiliarity. You were trained to react, not choose. 7. You feel responsible for everyone's emotions. If someone is sad, irritated, or distant, you assume you caused it. You jump into fixing mode because you believe, if someone is upset, I failed. You don't check the facts. You absorb the blame. 8. You attract people who take advantage. People pleasers don't attract healthy relationships by default. You attract takers, narcissistic personalities, emotionally lazy partners, friends who only reach out when they need something, not because you deserve it, but because you don't set limits, and takers look for open doors. 9. You stay too long in the wrong relationships. You don't leave when you're unhappy. You leave when you're exhausted. You give second chances, third chances, endless chances, because walking away feels like failure. You confuse loyalty with self-sacrifice. 10. You struggle at work even when you perform well. People think people pleasers are perfect employees. They're not. They're overworked and under-recognized. You take on extra tasks. Never push back. Fix other people's mistakes. Don't ask for raises. Get burned out while others coast. You're reliable, but not protected. 11. You can't relax without feeling guilty. Rest feels undeserved. Your body is tired, but your mind keeps scoring imaginary points. If you're not useful, you feel worthless. 12. You fear being misunderstood. You bend over backward to avoid being seen the wrong way. You worry about tone, facial expressions, wording, how long it takes someone to text back. You're not trying to communicate, you're trying to control the reaction. 13. Your self-worth depends on how others feel about you. Approval feels like oxygen. Disapproval feels like danger. You don't ask, do I like them? You ask, do they like me? Your identity is external instead of internal. The nervous system piece. People-pleasing isn't just psychological, it's biological. Your body reacts to disappointing someone the same way others react to physical threat. That's why your heart speeds up, your stomach drops, your mind races, you feel shaky. You aren't being dramatic. You're reliving a survival pattern. Your body is protecting you from a danger that doesn't exist anymore. The big problem. People think the issue is being too nice. It's not. The issue is, you disappear in your own life. You don't make choices. You wait for other people to choose for you. You don't live, you manage. And the longer you do it, the more you lose. Your voice, your preferences, your confidence, your sense of self. People-pleasing isn't harmless. It's self-erasure. You didn't choose this pattern, but you're the only one who can change it. Breaking people-pleasing isn't about becoming selfish. It's about becoming real. Here's what actually works. 1. Stop blaming your adult self for a childhood survival strategy. You're not weak. You're conditioned. You learned. Compliance keeps you safe. Agreeing prevents conflict. Staying small avoids punishment. So the first step is recognizing this. Nothing is wrong with you. The strategy is outdated. You can't change what you still feel guilty for having. 2. Notice the reflex before trying to change it. People try to fix people-pleasing by forcing themselves to say no. That's like asking someone afraid of heights to start on the roof. Start smaller. Pay attention to moments when you say yes automatically, apologize unnecessarily, over-explain, feel responsible for someone's mood. Awareness comes before action. You can't interrupt a reflex you don't see. 3. Practice micro-boundaries. Don't jump to big confrontations. Train your nervous system gradually. Examples: take a pause before answering. Say, "I'll get back to you," instead of yes. Let someone be mildly disappointed. Stop explaining your reasons. Don't rush to fix someone's feelings. These tiny reps build tolerance. Boundaries are a skill, not a personality. 4. Let people be uncomfortable without rescuing them. This is where most people-pleasers panic. You were taught, if someone is upset, you failed. But here's the truth. Discomfort is not danger. You need to learn. Someone else being disappointed is not your emergency. Their reaction does not define your worth. You don't have to fix what you didn't cause. Letting a moment of tension exist is how you unlearn fear. 5. Replace guilt with the correct interpretation. Guilt is your brain using an old rule in a new situation. When you feel guilty, ask, "Am I doing something wrong or something new?" Most of the time, it's new. Guilt is not a stop sign. It's a withdrawal symptom. You're detoxing from self-abandonment. 6. Stop apologizing for existing. Only apologize when you hurt someone, you caused harm, you made a real mistake. Not when you take up space. You need clarity. Someone else is upset. You can't meet a demand. You're being human. Every unnecessary sorry reinforces the belief that you're a burden. 7. Build a sense of self. People, pleasers don't know what they want because they never practiced wanting. Start small. What foods do you like? What music do you enjoy? What opinions do you actually have? What drains you? What energizes you? Identity is built through choices, not approval. If you don't know yourself, you will always let other people define you. 8. Stop earning love through effort. Healthy relationships don't require performance. Look at the people in your life and ask, do they care about me or about what I do for them? If you have to, overgive, stay silent. Avoid honesty, hide your needs. That's not connection, that's dependency. Love that requires self-erasure is not love. 9. Expect pushback when you change. People benefiting from your lack of boundaries won't clap when you set them. You may hear, "You've changed. You're being difficult." You're not as nice anymore. Translation: you're no longer easy to control. Stay the course. Losing the wrong people is part of keeping yourself. 10. Remember this truth. You don't have to be agreeable to be loved. You don't have to disappear to stay connected. You don't have to earn what should be given freely. People-pleasing was the solution. Now it's the problem. You're not breaking yourself by changing. You're breaking the pattern that was breaking you. Closing message. If this is you, nothing is wrong with you. You're not dramatic. You're not overly sensitive. You're not too nice. You were a child who adapted to an environment where approval felt like survival. But you're not in that environment anymore. You can learn to say no without panic, to have needs without guilt, to show up without performing to be loved, without disappearing. People-pleasing is learned, which means it can be unlearned. Your life does not start when everyone else is finally happy. It starts when you stop abandoning yourself.